Good morning, good afternoon. Thanks for attending the Connect and Extend your Oracle SaaS with Oracle Integration webinar series. I'm Jürgen Kress, part of the Oracle Product Management team. In case you missed one of our webcast on-demand recordings are available at Oracle Video Hub, including presentation for download. In today's presentation, Ravi Pinto and Neil Kominski will update us on Oracle SOA Suite. Good morning, Neil.
Morning, Jürgen, and a very happy day for everybody.
Where are you based today, Neil?
No, I'm in Dublin and I'm looking out and it's not raining today, so that's why it's a happy day here. The seagulls are flying, there's blue skies, some cloud, but no rain. Great.
Ravi, good morning. Thanks for attending.
Thanks, Jürgen. How are you doing?
How is the weather in Bangalore today?
Oh, Bangalore is nice. We could be expecting some rains, though. Let's see how it goes.
So it's monsoon time.
Yes.
So as we know now the weather forecast, everybody would like to know the future of Oracle SOA Suite, which is our main topic today.
So I can forecast that it is bright and sunny there. We'll talk more about it as we go forward.
Cool. So let's get started. So Oracle Integration offers certified adapters and pre-built connectivity. Our objective is the call is today to give you an update on how to combine it with Oracle SOA Suite and how to proceed in the future. This is a series of webcasts. We hosting today the final episode, number 6. In case you missed one of them, recordings are available. And it's a great overview to connect your Oracle SaaS applications, including HCM, ERP, CX, and NetSuite. So with this short introduction, Ravi, over to you. What are the details of today's webcast?
Yeah, so today we'll be talking about the overall context of the integration strategy from Oracle and how SOA Suite fits. What are the updates on SOA Suite? People have been asking about what is next, what's happening at SOA, and then how it fits into the hybrid integration story. How does it work with our iPaaS? I'll also talk about a decision metrics, for customers who are looking at how to go forward from here based on different requirements that they have. And then, we could do Q&A. So without much further ado, this is a slide that, audience probably has seen multiple times, but it captures very well the complexity or the issues that we have today in terms of integration. And the reason integration is becoming complicated, or the whole IT scene is becoming complicated, is because we have on-prem applications and we have subscriptions on cloud. And what IT typically has to do is to bring both of these together for multiple reasons. One could be that an application on-prem requires some data from application on cloud. That would be the easiest, integration requirement. But then there are also requirements where, for certain analytical work, you have to aggregate data from multiple of these resources. They could be on-prem, they could be on cloud. They could be extensions that you're building which require this integration. So in short, it becomes very difficult, and it doesn't help that there are multiple public cloud providers or multiple SaaS providers with which you need to integrate. So this is where Oracle's iPaaS OIC plays. Most of you are already aware of that, but what I also want to talk about is something that you may have already been using, or you are currently using and will continue to use. So we have SOA Suite, which is our integration framework that was launched decades ago as a premier integration application, so integration framework. And our customers on-prem have been using it. In fact, we have customers who are using it on OCI as well, which I'll be talking about. But SOA Suite, as you can see, has multiple different components which customers have used in a variety of combinations. So we have the connectivity, similarly called adapters, just like OIC. We have a mediation layer, which is called the service bus. We then have orchestration layer, which is the people process manager, and then analytics using business activity monitoring. And we have a lot of customers worldwide who continue to use SOA Suite. They've been using SOA Suite for a long time, and they continue to use SOA Suite because their critical workloads are still running, and it's not easy to move out of there. So, what is it that we are suggesting from Oracle perspective? What's the big picture that we are looking at? So, we do understand that you have on-prem, or you probably have already started your journey to cloud. So the first thing is the SOA that's available on-prem is also available on OCI, and we'll talk about that as we go forward. But in the quest to modernize, so while you move, you also want to modernize, and modernizing would typically mean that you use an iPaaS strategy like OIC. So now you have SOA on OCI or SOA on-prem, and you have OIC, and you want to probably in the long term move over from SOA to OIC. So what you should be doing there is something that we'll also discuss. And once you get OIC, of course, you can then use it to further innovate by using Visual Builder, using Process, etc. So this is the whole roadmap that we sort of talk about from SOA modernization perspective. And again, these are totally defined by you as a customer or as a partner who's advising one or more of our customers. Now let's talk about what is happening in each one of these areas. So we'll talk about what's happening with SOA, core SOA. You can say it on-prem, but it's the same SOA that's available on OCI, and that integrates or interoperates with OIC. So very first thing, current release of SOA is SOA 12.2.1.4. And as you can see, this is the latest middleware support document, lifetime support document. And it clearly mentions that 12.2.1.4 will be under Premier support till December 2026. Now that's a 3-year period that we have, considering we are in the middle of 2023. The extended support is available for an additional year, which is December 2027. And of course, sustaining support continues lifetime. Now, what does that mean from a future perspective? So one of the other things that we have announced is the Statement of Direction for Fusion Middleware, which clearly says that we intend to bring in a new version of our middleware in calendar year 2024. This will be certified on JDK 17 and JDK 21. It will actually use virtual threads that's going to be introduced in JDK 21. It will also be certified with Jakarta EE8. The release will be called 14.1.2, and it will be built on WebLogic and Coherent 14.1.2. You can also see that apart from SOA Suite, BPM Suite will be part of 14.1.2, as will be the Web Center products, Forms and Reports, Oracle Data Integrator, and Enterprise Data Quality. Now, you would also realize that all this also means that ADF and the Core J developer would also receive 14.1.2 version. So this is what we have mentioned as our statement of direction. This is available on oracle.com site. And it's a PDF document that goes into more details. I have only captured the essence of the document here, but there are more details in the document. So it's worth your while to take a look at this particular document to understand what the future looks like from Fusion middleware perspective. So obviously your next question will be, okay, so what is SOA Suite bringing in 14.1.2? And this is the roadmap, a very high level roadmap, so to say, that talks about the main things that we are working in 14.1.2. So to start with, we will have a native Apache Kafka adapter. So we have observed, we have seen, we have worked with customers who are adopting Kafka as their enterprise messaging strategy for a variety of workloads, for a variety of patterns, messaging patterns. And we feel that for customers who are running SOA Suite, a native Apache Kafka adapter would make a lot of sense. So we are bringing in a native Apache Kafka adapter. We are also working on hybrid integration enhancements. So today, I will be talking about this a little later as well. We have the ability, the interoperability between SOA Suite and OIC. So that's available right now. We continue to add more features to that capability. We also have containerization available. So SOA is available as container images. You can download them from container registry.oracle.com, or you can get them from support.oracle.com, and you can run it as a container on Kubernetes. We provide production support for it. So we continue to make this available every quarter, and we continue to enhance them. So that is something that will happen. From a performance, reliability, and scalability perspective, which is one of the core features of SOA, when it's taken for granted that there will be better performance, there will be reliable deployments, and it will scale. We continue to work, on increasing on all those parameters. Some of this will happen because of the underlying JDK and WebLogic upgrades, but we also continue to, fine-tune components within SOA Suite. We have also shortlisted certain customer enhancement requests, which we feel makes sense from an overall feature set perspective. So these will become features within the SOA Suite release. And last but not the least, across the Fusion middleware, we are working on an enhanced upgrade capability. So, make it more seamless, make it quicker. So that's something that is that's happening as well. So these are, like the high-level features that you will see in 14.1.2. There are many more, but as we go closer to the release date, we will make more information available about that. So a quick bit about the SOA on containers. So we've had the Docker image available since October of 2020. When it was GA, and we release every quarter. So it has the latest quarterly patch that the SOA Suite has, and new features that are related to the container. Now, this could be in terms of certain certifications with the Kubernetes ecosystem. It could be with some new feature that we've introduced specifically for Kubernetes functionality, etc. What we essentially see here is also the capability for customers to do easy and reliable patching as well as scalability from the perspective of deploying it on Kubernetes Fabric, where other microservices applications could also be residing. So this is something that you can definitely check out. It is something that we continue to work on. As I mentioned, every quarter there is a new release. So now let's switch gears and look at what's the next stage. So the next stage here essentially is from the adoption of public cloud. So I'm assuming that you are looking on leveraging the public cloud. So while you may continue running your applications on-prem, you would want to leverage on the efficiencies and the security that's brought by the public cloud. You may also choose to eventually move completely over to public cloud. Now, this is all based on multiple factors, strategy, compliance, etc. So we always recognize that it's not a straightforward decision for customers. But having decided to leverage on public cloud, what I also want to present is that we do have the same SOA suite available on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure as a marketplace image. Now, what does that mean? What it means is the capabilities that you're used to on-prem with SOA suite are also available on our public cloud offering. And not only do you get the same features, but you also get the same control, and you get the ability to leverage all the new features that we are getting on our public cloud. So let's look at into more details about what this is all about. So this is how the provisioning experience sort of looks like. You go into the OCI Marketplace and you enter the term SOA, and it will show you these entries, which basically give you the ability to deploy SOA Suite either as bring your own license or as a subscription where license is included. So this is completely your choice. If you do bring your own license, then of course we expect you to continue paying the annual support charges. Whereas if you do license included, then the subscription covers both the license and the support cost. Right? Now, once you've done that, you've selected one of the offerings, you are presented with a screen where you can then specify which compartment and what is the version. Now, the SOA Suite version remains the same, which is 12.214 with the latest patches. But the version of SOA Marketplace keeps on changing as well with every quarterly release. So even SOA Marketplace gets released every quarter. Okay. So here we go. This is the first screen where you specify the name of the cluster or the domain that you want to create. And then we get into more detail. So we give you 3 domain types. Depending on your use case, you could decide which one you want to provision. So the first one is SOA plus OSB plus B2B. So this is mostly what customers provision with. The second cluster type is MFT. So if you want to set up managed file transfer on OCI using our certified image, then you can use the MFT domain type, or you can also decide to run BAM on OCI. Okay. Once you've selected this, you would have to, of course, specify your SSH key. So SSH key is because we give you access to the VMs we would provision as part of this experience. So SSH key, of course, gives you the ability to log into those VMs and manage them as per your requirements. So the next thing that we get into is what sort of VM you really want to provision, the shape and size of the cluster. Now, in SOA Marketplace, we actually give you the ability to select the sort of compute that you want to use. As you can see here, we support something called the flex shape. Flex shape is the ability for you to decide on the number of cores and the amount of memory that you want to specify for a particular VM, and you can dynamically change it at a later point in time based on what sort of workload you are running. So here is that particular screenshot that shows you that you can go ahead and say, I want to provision a VM which is 4 OCPUs or 4 cores, and like 32 GB RAM. And when your workload increases at a later point in time, you can go and change that configuration to a higher, higher capacity or higher resources. And then when the workload comes down, let's say a couple of months later, you can then bring it back down to a lower level. So this is what the flex computing does, and this is what we are able to leverage from SOA Marketplace perspective. And of course, that advantage accrues to you as a customer or as a partner who is managing SOA for a customer. We also support secure boot and the measured boot, these are capabilities that OCI provides for the compute. And then we have this ability for you to specify, the credentials to be stored in the vault. So OCI has a vault. That vault can be used to manage your secrets and, to retrieve them or get applications to retrieve them from the vault. This way, your passwords do not get distributed to all the administrators, etc. They're more secure. Now, once you've done this, the next part is related to networking. Now, from a network perspective, you can specify that you want to use an existing virtual cloud network, or you could create a new one. When you decide this, you also decide whether you want to run SOA in the private subnet or you want to run it in a public subnet. Sorry. And if you were to run it on a private subnet, then you could also decide on running the Bastion service. So here are some screenshots to show you that. So we are going to use a SOA CS VCN. We are going to use the existing subnet. And then, we start with the private and public subnet. We decide which subnet, whether it's regional or whether it's AD specific. And then we go ahead and, specify the load balancer strategy. SOA Marketplace uses OCI load balancer, and that is what you set up. The next thing that you do is provide the details for RCA. So one thing to keep in mind is that you have to provision the database in advance so that you can provide the credentials and the details of that particular database instance over here. Now, if you see over here, we support ATP. We also support OCI database service. We support Exadata. We also support a database connection string. Now, this is only in certain specific cases. We, of course, don't recommend it because, the database connection string could be, very specific cases, but we'll focus on the others, right? So OCI DB or ATP are typically what customers use. And you would specify, like where the secrets are held. Again, they can come from OCI Vault, instead of you entering the database admin username and password over here. Now, this is where the SOA DB secret is coming from, the OCI Vault. And the other thing, and this is a very new feature that we've provided, is the ability for you to back up and restore your SOA configurations. So what you can do over here is you can specify what's the vault that is to be used to store the encryption key, because when you do the backup, we encrypt it with a particular key and then store it in the object storage, right? So even if someone was to get the access to that particular object, they would still not be able to, decrypt and get the contents of the backup. That's the whole idea behind encrypting this particular key or this particular backup rather. And then we have additional capabilities for you. So if you want to set up the node manager, if you want to set up the ports for admin console, SSL, etc., then you can do all that here. Now, once you've done that, we show you, the summary screen with all the setup. You can review these settings, and then you can go ahead and click on provisioning or create. So that's the button over here. And once you've done that, we would go ahead and, provision that particular instance for you. Now, what is it that we bring to the table when it comes to SOA and OCI Marketplace? Why are we talking about this as a specific case? The whole focus that we have here is to bring the ability for provisioning and deprovisioning in a very easy fashion. As you may have seen in the screenshot, you have the ability to save this entire setup as a stack. And you can use the OCI Resource Manager to run it at a later point in time. So you don't need to enter these details again and again. You can also do scale up, scale down, scale in, scale out, all from the OCI console. Of course, you have the ability to do this as a SOA actor, but for those folks who may not be aware of the SOA capability, for them, there is easy way in the OCI console to go and do the scaling operations. You can also do backup and restore. You can start and stop the instances. All this can be done from OCI console itself. And then further than that, what we ensure is that when we package this, you get the best practices out of the box. So it follows a lot of the enterprise deployment guide, guidelines. This particular, capability, as I mentioned, supports both ATP as well as OCI database. So you have the choice to decide which database service you want to use. It uses the OCI load balancer, so you don't need to bother about configuring the traffic director. And then the domain that we generate is optimized for most of the work. The best thing is that you get to leverage on OCI innovations. So if OCI comes with a better release of load balancer, or you want to use OCI logging or logging analytics, etc., all that is available to you once SOA is deployed on the OCI. One of the examples of how we leverage OCI services and OCI capabilities is this particular approach. So we have a white paper that walks you step by step of how you can configure SOA Marketplace image with the OCI identity service. What this enables you to do is, instead of managing the SOA user store as a separate exercise or a separate data store than Identity Cloud, you can actually connect to the SOA to read from Identity Cloud to get the credentials for authorization and authentication purpose. Not just for SOA, but also for managed file transfer. If you were to provision a domain of managed file transfer and deploy it on OCI, you could use the same guide to have it use IDCS as the identity store. So if you are interested in this, raise a service request and support will make this white paper available to you. As I mentioned, there are other OCI innovations that we keep on leveraging on. One of them is the flex shapes. So both AMD and Intel have a variety of flex shapes available, and you could go ahead and deploy SOA on OCI using any one of those flex shapes. We support network security groups. We support ability for you to back up and restore not just the entire VM, but the SOA domain home as well. So that's on the SOA on OCI side. So what is the next step that you would typically do when you're modernizing your entire integration setup? You would look at starting to innovate with Oracle integration. Now, of course, OCI has a complete integration story. There's data integration, there's process automation, there's application integration, and API management, etc. Specifically, from application integration perspective, we have the iPaaS offering that Gartner rates the highest, in its latest Magic Quadrant. And it comes with capabilities that are related to, ability for you to integrate, ability for you to build visual apps, ability for you to manage your file workloads, file-based workloads, ability for you to define business processes, and so on, right? So, so if you see, OIC gives you this capability to manage your iPaaS, so to manage your integration, hybrid integration across, both cloud as well as on-prem. And you just have to look at this partial list of the adapters. We keep on adding new adapters every quarter. And these adapters give you further capability to talk to newer SaaS or newer applications. We're also looking at making a custom adapter development kit available for OIC that enables you to build your own adapters, right? So this is something that is there in our roadmap. Now, when you start building all this, obviously the question will be, okay, I have something that's already running on SOA. How do I work with OIC? You know, should I just move from SOA over to OIC, or you know, there are critical workloads on SOA? What should I do? So we have native interoperability. What this means is bidirectional ability for you to, you know, integrate between the orchestrations on SOA as well as on OIC. So typically, if you see whether your SOA is deployed on-prem or the SOA is deployed on OCI, in OIC, we have a SOA adapter that enables you to introspect a SOA domain and look at all the composites that are deployed there, make them part of your OIC orchestration. And similarly, in JDeveloper, we have a plugin for OIC. So you can introspect an OIC instance, see all the orchestrations that are deployed there, and make them part of your SOA composite or SOA orchestration. So this is the ability that you can invoke today. So your SOA suite has to be 12.2.1.4. OIC can be any release. So we have SOA adapter that's available in OIC, all releases. And you can leverage on this right now. So while you work out on the strategy of how the move or whether the move from SOA to OIC will be, you can leverage, you know, each of your products, and more importantly, the investments that you have done in both these products right now. So we have customers who have, you know, done complex deployments on OCI. If you look at this particular deployment, we have eBusiness Suite with, you know, OIC and SOA. So SOA is, you know, this is essentially a lift and shift. Customer was using EBS and SOA on-prem, but they wanted to, you know, sort of expand further using OIC capabilities. So while they did a lift and shift of EBS and SOA on OCI, you know, there are other capabilities that they're exploiting via OIC, going out to external application. In this particular, you know, case, it's only showing Financial Cloud, but the ability to talk to, you know, things like Workday, Jira, Facebook, etc. here is immense, right? So you can continue to expand and modernize your entire deployment. Now, OIC also has a feature called Visual Builder that enables you to build mobile applications or applications for deployment on web that can be then accessed, you know, from anywhere. And it's all visual drag and drop under the covers. Of course, that creates, you know, HTML, JavaScript, and CSS based applications, but you know, it's very, very quick to develop. It's a low code tool that's available as part of the OIC itself. We also have the capability for you to do process automation. So you can follow BPMN notation to create business process flows that can then be deployed and made operational. And then you can gather analytics and statistics and, you know, find out how your processes are doing, you know, whether they're doing, whether they can be optimized even further. These are some of the things that you can do using the process automation. We are adding the capability of robotic process automation as well. So keep an eye out for that. We will come back soon to you to talk more about that. But my point here is that as an iPaaS, you get a lot of leverage and, you know, feature set from OIC. So when you're looking at your hybrid integration strategy, you should look at the fact that Oracle continues to invest in SOA. but there is even more work that's being done on iPaaS, and you are at the best position to leverage both of these products, right? We also have the ability for you to manage files. This is more of file transfer capability. So we have the secure file server within OIC that gives you 500 GB of storage, and then ability for you to, upload, download files using SFTP protocol. So this is again part of OIC. There's no additional charge here. So last but not the least, of course, the question that you typically would have is, what should I do? I have SOA. I am interested in OIC. What's the next step for me? So here is a rough guideline that we put together. If your enterprise strategy is to continue with on-prem, then ensure that SOA is up to date, 12.2.14 at this point in time. And then if you are interested in getting more efficiencies, you could look at SOA on Kubernetes deployment. Containerization brings a lot of efficiency and optimization into your network, into your IT deployment. So that's something that you can definitely check. So if you're on-prem, be assured that Oracle continues to invest in SOA Suite and in middleware in general. Now, if you're looking at leveraging the public cloud, so SOA on OCI Marketplace, I talked about it. You saw how easy it is to go ahead and provision an instance and then use the same control or have the same control that you currently have in your on-prem. By the way, if you already have leveraged SOA CS, which was the earlier release of SOA on OCI, then you should look at migrating to SOA Marketplace to leverage even more capabilities on OCI. So we have a tool that is under work that enables you to migrate from SOA CS to SOA Marketplace by running a very similar wizard to what you saw. What it does is it essentially moves your artifacts over from SOA CS to SOA Marketplace domain. Now, the more important one, what if I'm looking at hybrid strategy? What if I'm looking at adopting OIC, or I've already started adopting OIC? Well, in that particular case, we do have the native interoperability between SOA and OIC. So, you can go ahead and do that, build your new integrations in OIC, continue to leverage your existing ones in SOA. And if your strategy is to move from SOA over to OIC, we have some guidelines, some very high level, guidelines that are available. You can work with either Oracle Consulting or one of our partners to work out the entire strategy, and we'd be happy to help you in that particular journey. But from my perspective, the best thing would probably be that you start with OIC, build your new integrations there, evaluate the existing ones on SOA, and then slowly migrate, from SOA over to OIC in terms of priority and complexity. So that's what the recommendation is. And here are some of the resources that are put together from the perspective of SOA on OCI through the marketplace image. These will help you in understanding, the SOA offering that's available on OCI. There are certain webcasts here that talk about how you could migrate from on-prem or do side-by-side, migration from SOA CS to SOA Marketplace, or once the migration. If you're interested in the migration tool, do let Jürgen or myself know, and we can get into more details about that. And then, of course, there are also ability for you to install and troubleshooting of SOA and MFT on OCI Marketplace. With that, I hand it back over to Jürgen.
Ravi, thank you very much.
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Ravi. That was an impressive update. So to summarize it, Oracle SOA Suite is a long-term integration platform with thousands of customers in production. And you now can run it on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. and you can connect it in a hybrid fashion with Oracle integration, where most of the innovation is done to Oracle integration. We also will have a new and additional releases of Oracle SOA Suite. So some important resources. We run a quarterly product update webcast with the latest features of Oracle integration. The next one will be September 21st, and you can also watch the previously webcasts on demand. We would like to invite you to attend Oracle Cloud World 2023 in Las Vegas. Registration is open, and if you plan to attend, please reach out to your local product manager, as we will also host a customer summit for Oracle integration. In case you want to try Oracle integration, it's available as a free trial. You can go to cloud.oracle.com and /try it. And there you get a free tier. And on top of that, you can test Oracle integration for 30 days. If you test Oracle integration, please make use of the training material and the labs that we offer, part of the documentation. The live labs will guide you through some scenarios to build a proof of concept and demo. In case you want support, we would like to recommend you to work with our certified partners. For the next local partner, you can go to partner-finder.oracle.com and you can search for a certified partner in your region. Like Ravi pointed out, please make use of the Oracle Cloud Marketplace. There you can find also Oracle SOA Suite to provision it on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, but you can also find additional recipes and adapters. If you have questions and if you want to collaborate, please post them at Oracle Cloud Customer Connect. Today's webcast is live, and we will post an on-demand version at Oracle Video Hub, where you find also all the other webcasts. And the slides are published also at Oracle Video Hub. Therefore, please make sure that you're logged in. For regular updates, please subscribe to the Oracle Integration newsletter. The quarterly updates provides you with the latest information from the product management team, including the latest features, upcoming webcasts, trainings, and events. Some resources I would like to point out. Please visit the website oracle.com/integration, make use of the documentation, including the labs, and get a free trial if you would like to test Oracle integration. Like Ravi pointed out, there is the marketplace, and there are a lot of papers for SOA upgrade process. For regular updates, please read the integration blog from the team, and also Neil is writing an excellent blog, and please subscribe to our newsletter. So we have a lot of questions. If you do have questions, you still can post them in the Q&A tool, and we will answer them and read them out. The first one comes from Leonard Komal, and he would like to know if for SOA Suite on-premise, if we do have an integration tool available.
So I think, Jürgen, that question is whether we can migrate from on-prem to cloud, if I understand that correctly.
Yeah.
So we have the ability to do side-by-side migration. There is no specific tool, but we have the guideline, and that's already covered in the resources that I have shared of how to do on-prem to cloud. There is actually a webcast that support has that goes into a little bit more detail in terms of what are the various aspects to keep an eye on when you're doing such migrations. And also, if there is like a plan, we can give support the heads up that there is a migration that is happening, and they need to keep an eye on it. So that is something that we can work on. I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely, and you can protect your investment for running SOA Suite on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure and deploy the upcoming upgrades and new features. And then you can benefit from all the new innovation of Oracle integration. So the next question is from Neil. Neil Leonard also would like to know if there's a similar feature like in SOA Suite, we had the service component architecture. is there something similar in Oracle integration? And maybe you can highlight also the new functionality of of the project functionality in Oracle integration.
Yeah, so first of all, there's no explicit support for SCA in OIC. Like SCA was very good in JDeveloper because you could say, okay, I have an integration scenario and this is implemented by the following components. That could be, say, a mediator, could be a human task, and it could be a couple of integrations, people integrations. You can do the exact same thing in OIC, but you just don't have this SCA composer. So all of the components of OIC, that's integration, process, visual builder, file server, B2B, they all interoperate with each other transparently, but you don't have this explicit overview. Now, what OIC does bring to the game, which is something we don't have in SOA Suite, is an awful lot of new functionality. Like Jürgen mentioned, projects. And with projects, for example, you can have role-based access control to projects. So you can organize your work so that you could have developers creating integrations for HCM use cases and ERP use cases working on the same OIC instance, but each seeing only their own slice of it. There's a load of other compelling new features there. Like it really is our strategic integration platform going forward. And I suggest, you know, as Jürgen was saying, kick the tires if you get the chance. Okay, Jürgen?
Yep. So the next question is around people. In SOA Suite, there was the business process execution language, and you could do a lot of transformations. How do you do that in Oracle integration?
Well, within Oracle integration, like we've kind of moved away from explicitly, you know, talking about people. Within OIC, you have what are known as actions, and you use these actions to build your integrations. Like an action could be, you know, assign data from one variable to another. It could be map. It could be invoke a service. It could be, you know, the stage file action, which allows us to do to work with the OIC virtual file system for creating files or whatever. So you're just working on a different level there. So when you look at it first, you think, okay, JDeveloper for SOA Suite has a load of different BIPL activities. How many of them are you actually using? But when you looked at OIC and you see the set of actions, we have customers creating very simple integrations with these actions, and we have customers creating very complex integration orchestrations with these actions. So please don't get hung up on, is this, you know, which version of BIPL is supported. Just check it out and you'll see for yourself.
Wonderful, thanks. And then there's a question about API management for on-premise and API management on the cloud. What do we offer today?
Well, API management on the cloud, we have OCI API Gateway. Now, so folks, when you go for OIC, OIC is a cloud native OCI service. It's one of, I think, 80 other services, and many of these services are very interesting for us from an integration perspective. One of them would, of course, be the API Gateway. So that is our prime product in this respect.
Okay, and for on-premises, we also offer a product called API Platform Cloud Service.
Well, like say for on-premise, like if you look our on-premise offering, we have a API Platform Cloud Service, which is essentially being superseded by the OCI API Gateway. But that does provide a satellite gateway which runs anywhere, which can include on-premise.
Okay, next question for you, Rafi. Eshwa would like to know how to upgrade SOA Suite 12.2.12 to 12.2.14. What's the right thing to do?
Yeah, so what can we introduced this side-by-side, upgrade capability. So that would be my recommendation. That's been my recommendation to most customers, because what it does is it gives you the ability to roll back to the earlier deployment in case, in case something goes wrong. So my recommendation is side-by-side, but in-place upgrade should also be possible. So it's totally up to the sort of environment that you have. For production, my guidance is to use side by side for development and test sort of environments. Do in place upgrade rather than side by side. So that is my guidance, but I leave the implementer usually because they know all the complexities and the factors that affect a particular upgrade.
Okay, Neil, are there any important questions that you would like to point out?
Now, all the questions are important to the people asking them, of course. But I think the main takeaway for me from Ravi's presentation is that your SOA Suite investment is safe and sound. And there is work being done on SOA Suite, like the new version that Ravi mentioned coming out next year. So safe and sound, you have plenty of time also from a support perspective to decide where you want to go with this. As I say, the best idea many customers are doing, SOA on OCI. And then as Ravi was suggesting, for new integration projects, then look at OIC as the primary platform for those, unless it is really kind of, totally on-premise centric.
Yep. And there's a new question regarding the Gartner iPass survey, what the current status is and the Oracle market position. Who would like to handle it?
Sorry. Okay.
So Gartner.
Okay. I suppose like anything else here, with these Gartner reviews, like Gartner talks to us, they talk to our customers, they look at the product. So using that information, they see, okay, where are we going with this product? They look at it, and then they also talk to existing customers. And using that information, that's where they come out with this. So it just proves, like we've been heavily investing in this. And that's the reason, like we've been up there in the Magic Quadrant in the top right-hand box for many, many years, but that we have edged our way to the top in ability to execute. That just shows how much our investment is paying off and how customers appreciate what we're doing in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks to all our customers and partners for supporting that. Gartner published the 2023-24 Gartner Magic Quadrant for iPaaS platforms, and Oracle is the top leader. So thank you for that. Ravi, are there any other questions you would like to point out?
No, Jürgen, actually just one outstanding one from VR, which is which tools we can use with OIC integration for complex integration. I think more than the tools, what should be looked at is are the patterns. So we publish a lot of patterns on our documentation site. Also, A-Team constantly, makes a lot of patterns available. So you should take a look at blogs.oracle.com/integration, as well as ateam.oracle.com. I think that's what the blog site for A-Team is. But between the two, you would get a lot of information on what patterns you should use for complex integrations. So I think more than tools, it's the patterns that help in these sort of situations.
Excellent, thank you very much. Ravi, thanks for the nice presentation today. It was great to have you on board and to meet you. And Neil, thank you for helping us with the Q&A.
It's a pleasure.
And thank you for the whole webcast series, which we concluded today. So it's a series of 6 webcasts. In case you missed one of them, you can always watch them on demand. If you have further questions, please reach out to our local team. Neil, who is on the call with us today, he supports customers and partners in EMEA, Paulo Mota in South America, Ravi Shablani in North America, Ravi Pinto, who is on the webcast with us today. He is the contact for India, Steve Tyndall for Asia, and myself for any kind of partner and customer marketing related questions. So thank you very much for attending the webcast series, and please send us your feedback by completing the survey. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, and hope to see you soon at one of our upcoming Oracle Integration Product Update webcasts.